Welkom allemaal bij deze podcast. Mijn naam is Elke en ik ben journalist werkzaam bij EO+. Ik ben de hoofdredacteur. Ja, we gaan het vandaag hebben over voornamelijk over robotics en AI, maar ook over waar Europa en Nederland op moeten inzetten als het gaat om dit soort technologieën. En ik heb vandaag 3 super interessante gasten, podcastgasten die alles weten over de wereld van high-tech en innovatie. En dat zijn Lucas Ziegler, Tjerk Opmeer en Hans Boetker. Dus even een applaus. Ja. And now I'm fastly going to switch to English because next to me is Lucas Ziegler. Welcome, Lucas.
Thank you, and thanks for having me. Super excited to be here.
I wanted to first quickly share a little bit of information about you, because
let's check if they are true.
Yeah, let's see if it's true.
Yeah.
So you are a worldwide leading voice in robotics and industrial AI.
I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say so.
You work with companies, founders, and investors across the entire ecosystem, and you have visited more than 150 robotics companies, including.
That's true.
Yeah, NVIDIA, Amazon, and Boston Dynamics.
Yeah, super flattered to be here. I literally try to evangelize or educate people on robotics topics. I truly believe that robotics is the future and is inevitable, whilst just by watching statistics, just by seeing how the world is changing and how we as consumers, producers, what are the dependencies here, I think it's inevitable. Yeah. And everyone that denies that is just trying to stay in the status quo and in the comfort zone. But I want to go out and talk about the importance of robotics and automation.
I just heard you say in your keynote that you are just a guy obsessed with robotics.
I think that's true.
Yeah, where does this interest come from? Have you always had that?
I'm an OG fan of Star Wars, and when I was a kid, I was building a lot of robots. My dad is still an automation engineer, so I was playing with PLCs and automation components when I was a kid, building robots from Lego.
Yeah.
And I also became an engineer, but at some point I realized I cannot be a world-class engineer. I think that when you're being born, there are a couple of buckets with talents that you're getting handed, and analytical talent wasn't handed to me.
Yeah.
So I just didn't. I decided not to follow the technical path, but I was very, very avid.
Yeah, and it's great where you are standing right now. And you focus on industrial robotics and also on cognitive capabilities, basically. When we look at those cognitive capabilities of machines nowadays, do you really feel like that they're truly getting intelligent now?
I think that people are considering and people are comparing intelligence of machines to intelligence of a human, and that might be misleading. For example, I used to deploy robots also here in Netherlands. There was inspection robots on oil and gas facilities that were climbing the staircases, and they had 3 senses. One of the senses was actually it could smell, so it could detect the very toxic gas leakages before there was like a big explosion.
Yeah.
So for me, this is already like a cognitive, capability to some degree that you are able to smell something like a human
it's
would,
like a sense, right? Yeah.
Exactly, but that's like a sense. It could see, because obviously with the computer vision and the AI, right now it's called AI, but back in the day when I was studying, it was still just computer vision, so that was a little bit of statistics applied to the vision. Yeah. That you could, for example, detect different manometers and stuff like this. So that's like seeing. Yeah. And then it's also listening. So you would have like a microphone like we have here, or you would have like an acoustic camera, and you could literally see if there is any leakages in there, and you could literally hear if the machines are working properly. So that's already to some degree cognition, right? But I think that these days with the AI doing such a great job and in the white collar space, and we expect also robots to be immediately great. And we know that hardware is hard. Yeah. It's much of a deep tech problem, and it's just harder to iterate on hardware than you do in the software space.
Yeah, and you were just talking about these inspection robots. We saw a lot of other examples of robots in your keynote presentation. Is there also a particular type of robotics, or like an application that you are personally really enthusiastic about?
It's a hybrid approach between a robot arm and a humanoid. So it's a mobile platform with robot arms. 2 robot arms give you already the human capabilities, so it already can do much more tasks than just 1 arm, and mobile base give you the locomotion factor. So you can go from place A to B autonomously and perform tasks, for example, in different stations, right?
Okay,
So it
yeah.
gives you this flexibility factor. But people are, okay, why not legs? And we need to think how many use cases in industry and in logistics you really need legs. Typically, it's done for forklifts and for people, so it's really like a very flat surface.
Yeah.
So legs are adding a little bit of complexity to that equation. Also, they are not super energy efficient. You can imagine that if humanoid is standing and not doing anything, it is still consuming power just to power up the motors that it's keeping it standing.
Yeah.
If you have a mobile base, you do not have that problem. So I would say the compromise right now, my favorite form factor from the business and technical angle, is something that I call a wheeled humanoid, which means there is a wheeled base, a torso, and 2 robot arms.
Okay.
And you're able to do the same task as a humanoid, but it's just more cost efficient, energy efficient.
Yeah.
And I think just easier in deployments from the safety perspective, because technically it's treated as a mobile robot. And we already deploy robots here in the Netherlands. You have multiple mobile robots deployed in warehouses. You have great companies like Lopad. You have companies like Philips that are end user of these robots. So we already know it. So it's not that new.
So you were talking about the Netherlands and robotics. So if we zoom out a little bit more to Europe, is there a development on that level that you are particularly enthusiastic about?
I think that we are witnessing right now of the creation of robotic hubs across Europe. I can name a couple of them.
Yeah.
First of all, I think TU Delft is very strong in robotics. I've also met their robotics student club. They are very smart. I've been working with multiple Dutch companies that are spin-offs from TU Delft. So I also consider that you have a really great universities here in Netherlands.
Yeah.
But zooming out, as you mentioned, I would say Zurich. Anecdotically, let's say it might be the San Francisco of Europe when it comes to robotics. It's due to the fact that there is quite a good structure of venture capital combined with already operators that are successful to some degree, and on top of that, you're adding probably one of the top 5 universities in robotics in the world, ETH Zurich.
Okay.
Then you have Munich. Then you have Odense in Denmark. Nobody talks about it, but actually Odense is a place where collaborative robot was born by creation of universal robots that was later sold for horrendous money, I think $1 billion to Teradyne Robotics.
Yeah.
And I think that Europe needs more stories like universal robots, companies that are being sold for a lot of money, but that money stays in Europe. And these people that built those companies want to reinvest in the ecosystem, want to reinvest in the founders and backing the new generation of those. That's how literally Silicon Valley was created. It was also just by adding the capital from each successful company, just wrapping it up in a bigger ecosystem.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, indeed. Okay, and like another question. Let's say a company really wants to invest in physical AI. They want to use it. What is like the first step for them to do? How can they apply it to their company?
I would say to start build. So if you bring the technology to your manufacturing plant, start building a team around it. Start building competences around it. There is a good example I've seen with another Dutch company. Sorry to mention so many of them, but
we don't mind.
but Shell, for example, they started to build their robotics division, a global robotics division, just to make sure that they can capture the competences, because they want to, in the end, they don't want just to use the technology, they want to own the technology. In order of that, you need to know how to fix it, you need to know how to reprogram it, you need to know how it works generally. You need to be somehow vertically integrated, even though you are not a technology builder. So let's say vertically integrated when it comes to different levels of competences. So I would say if you are starting to deploy technology, do not rely only on the machine builder and say, okay, I don't want to even know what's happening. Just deploy it and then we will figure out when it breaks.
Okay.
Be very close with them, work hand in hand, build the competences. If you're a manufacturing engineer needs to go for robotics training to, learn another language of programming for robots or generally learn another sensory technology, just do it. Build those competences in-house. Yeah. You want to have Industry 4.0 experts inside your factories. You do not want to outsource that competences. They are very important these days.
Yeah, indeed. But what do you think is the biggest bottleneck at this moment when it comes to companies? Because the technology is there. You say build a team around it. But maybe it could happen in like a faster speed if done more efficiently. What do you think is the biggest obstacle right now?
I think we are looking at multiple industries. It's not just manufacturing at once. Like you have food and beverage that have different problems, bottleneck. You have automotive that obviously right now is a little bit stalled because of the situation that is happening with the AVs, their problems. As I said, maybe deploying the humanoids is a little bit like how do you call it? Putting some fog so people don't focus on the real problems and they can see that we are being innovative. Yeah. I would say the problem is still to find use cases where you can implement cognitive and humanoid robots that are flashing green in your Excel.
Okay.
This is like just to find a solid ROI. And when I talk to humanoid companies, they're talking like, yeah, actually we could make it more cost efficient, but we would need the commitment from the customer that we're going to deploy 50 robots.
Okay.
But then I ask the customer, and the customer says, yeah, we would love to do it, but it's actually not looking green in Excel. So it's like an egg and chicken problem.
Okay.
So but to have a solution for that, for me, it would be to have some sort of consensus. So what about we extrapolate? There might be a couple of research breakthrough that happen because we are constantly working on that. We have more data, we have more talent, we have more compute put into the game of robotics. What if something from the scientific point of view happens that suddenly it unlocks this hidden potential of robots and add this 5% of productivity, and suddenly we are getting these green Excels. Yeah.
Okay, clear.
That would be it. I just wouldn't like to give one clear answer because, as I said, every industry has its own problems.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
A little bit more of a personal question, because you've built like a community of over 250,000 plus engineers, founders, and operators across Europe and beyond. When you look back at all those years that you've been doing this, what is your biggest milestone so far? What are you most proud of?
So there is no chat GPT moment for building your personal brand. I think it's related to being there every day. Even during my wedding, I was posting about robots to the disappointment of my wife. I think it's literally just building it step by step. I think it was also very important that it was never my personal goal to become an evangelist or influencer. I was always doing it because I just wanted to write some articles about robots even before ChatGPT. Right now, everyone is in an
just a guy obsessed with robotics.
Yeah, obsessed. Or I was super interested into, and I wanted to share it with the world. And when I saw people commenting on my posts, I was like, okay, please challenge me. The same happened literally just after my keynote when I was crowded by 20 people and you started to, talking about robotics, heated discussions, you're full of arguments, which I love. I'm the most proud of that. Maybe I'm able to put really, really passionate people about robotics together. I do it by organizing events, happy hours, conferences, and that's what I'm mainly proud of. That out of something that was called passion, I was managed to create a small global ecosystem of roboticists, and I think it's gonna be growing. Okay. And maybe we need to rename it to physical AI ecosystem right now, because right now this is the term.
Oh, okay.
In the space. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay. My last question to you, Lucas, which I will ask my other podcast guests as well, is when you look back at our conversation and also at your keynote, what is one thing that you want people to remember, to realize about robotics?
Okay.
You can only choose one.
One sentence? No.
Just one. Okay. Yeah, one.
So I think probably one of the worst human feeling you might have is regret, and regret is caused by not taking action when you could do it. So my thing would be just to treat robotics really as an opportunity, never as a threat. It's an opportunity for us as a humanity. It's an opportunity for us as individuals to have something that is helping us out in our houses, in our work.
Yeah.
And there is much more arguments for that to rather accept that reality. If you look at all the economic and demographical factors.
Yeah.
So my thing would be be a little bit more, I'm not saying obsessed, but start to be interesting about robotics. I see so many people talking about different technologies that I don't think matter that much. People are talking about crypto in their free time. And I have nothing against crypto. I think that having Ethereum or Bitcoin is quite a good diversification of your portfolio. But
then you have AI, right? And
yeah,
robotics.
you have AI, and that's what I like about the AI revolution. People talk about AI. This is an active topic in conversations between people. Whether bad or good, they talk about it.
Yeah.
I want to bring that factor also to robotics. I want people to go for a dinner with their friends and also have 10 or 15% talking about robots.
Yeah.
What happened in that space? Who is building the actuators right now?
Yeah.
What Philips did this year to introduce new robotics? I want to be that topic, as I mentioned. Manufacturing, robotics, I want it to be...
At least 10% in conversations. Got it.
Or maybe more, or maybe 10% more than now. Maybe,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, your message is clear. Thank you so much, Lucas, for this interesting conversation.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me again. And yeah, may the robots be with you, as we said already during the chat. Thanks so much.